So we've reached the point of NBA suspension where I'm going to talk about Kevin Huerter for 10 minutes. But I think Huerter's a pretty interesting player, so I think it's fine overall. His year 2 was not a breakout season. If you dive into the stuff, you can see gradual improvement, but there's also a case to be made that Huerter may have stagnated a little bit as a player, which is not always bad because we see some guys be intriguing as a rookie and then they fall off in year 2. So for Huerter to be basically the same player with some little improvements, I think that's pretty good. I mean, the main thing is that his shooting got better. I mean, he went from 38% on 4.5 threes a game to 38% on 6 a game. And we would imagine that the shooting is still going to be the main thing for him. I mean, with his size and his textbook form and how good of a shooter he was in college, like, all the evidence suggests Kevin Huerter can be one of the best shooters in the NBA. Now, it didn't go nuts in his second year. 6 attempts a game, that's good, but we think he's got a little bit more in him. But it's still progress nonetheless. I mean, I still think he can be shooting 9 threes a game or something and, shooting a good percentage and really making the Hawks tough to defend on the backcourt with him and Trey just being two guys you can't ignore, right? To talk about Huerter's shooting a little bit more, I mean, we're going to get to him, the overall player, but the shooting is still the main thing with him, right? His ability to play off of ball handlers is really good. Guy just kind of knows how to get open, whether it's in the half court, the full court. And of course, when you actually look at him shoot, it's great. Like, you can tell this dude has attempted 1 million jump shots in his career. Or in his life, I should say. So, if we move on to the other stuff, the overall scoring, if you will, with Huerter. It's not great. He's attempting a lot of shots that are not shots at the basket. The thing is, though, I don't know how often Huerter can really get to the rim like that. He can dribble, but is he good enough to create offense? Is he good enough to beat guys off the dribble? Is he able to play in the pick and roll? I think my answer to that is kind of my overall opinion of Kevin Huerter, which is he's getting there. Like, if you look up just various highlights of the guy, he's got some moments where he's doing a straight line drive, or he's got a big man on a switch and he can actually bust out a little bit of a move, but you could tell that if it was against a guard it wouldn't work. And his dribbling also looks a little stiff, and you can tell that he's going to kind of think about it for a second, like what he's going to do. Is he going to hit a guy with a move or a hesitation or whatever? Whereas when he's shooting, he doesn't think about it at all. He goes up as if it's just the easiest shot he ever attempted. So we'll just have to see. I mean, there are some times where in the flow of Atlanta's offense, he'll get the ball on the move and then he'll take one dribble towards the rim and he's able to kind of do something. And also with Huerter, his passing has made some improvements. I mean, he got to basically 4 assists, 17% assist percentage, 12% turnover percentage. His usage rate was almost the same as his rookie year. Like, again, it's not a massive jump, but there's little stuff there. One thing I will say about Huerter's passing is I feel like because he's so good at getting open off the ball that he might just be a smart player who just understands like where to go in order to make the defense do what you want them to do and stuff. And I think his vision is better than his handle right now. So there's a chance he could actually be like a 5-assist guy one day, assuming his dribbling catches up with just how he sees the floor. And hopefully he can get there. I think I was talking about his scoring from non-3-point range before I went into a thing about passing. Okay, so if we get back to his scoring a little bit, he takes quite a few shots that are not at the rim, which I did say yes. And then I also said, well, can he get to the rim enough? And that's why I'm now saying the pull-up game might be a little more necessary for him than other guys. Like when I was talking about Brandon Ingram, I was like, well, does Ingram really need to be taking however many shots he's taking from mid-range? Because I just feel like Ingram can get to the rim almost whenever he wants to. I don't know if Huerter is going to be able to get to the rim whenever he wants to. So he might need to refine the pull-up game a little bit more. And Up to this point, he attempted, what, about 30-something% of his shots from 3 feet to long 2-point range. And he's not horrible at that range, but he's also not that good either. Like, his 2-point percentage was 45%, which is what dragged his overall efficiency down, even if his threes are good. So I don't know I don't know exactly what it's going to have to be. It's either he gets way better at getting to the rim, on and off the ball, or he gets really good at pulling up. Between those two things, if you force me to pick, I feel like the pull-up game is the thing that he could be really good at, because I would just assume, with how good of a shooter he is from outside, he can hit a 19-footer with efficiency. But because of his size and whatever, maybe he can really be a guy who drives inside and finishes at the basket, and you'd imagine that would also help his free throws out. But again, I just don't know if he's... I don't know if it's asking too much of him to become an inside scorer, you know what I mean? For what it's worth, he does shoot about 58% at the rim, which isn't that good, but it's not bad either. It's just kind of normal NBA player stuff, I guess. What is the type of player that Huerter should strive to be? I'm torn between Klay Thompson or Chris Middleton, just in terms of height and shooting ability and all that. I don't think he's Klay, because Klay is... we all know who Klay is. But with Middleton, it's like, okay, 6'7" guy, good defender, can do some stuff off the dribble, better than your average NBA shooter, and Middleton, by the time he's 28 years old, he's made the All-Star team 2 years in a row. He's extremely efficient, right? And he's able to bust out ISO moves occasionally and pull up in mid-range and stuff like that. Maybe that's just what Huerter's meant to be. Now, is it going to take that long for Huerter to be that player? You know, maybe. Based on his year 2, I feel like Huerter might be, you know, I mentioned Chris Middleton. He could also be like Tobias Harris, where the big jump never comes, but it's just year after year, incremental improvements, and then before you know it, you get overpaid by the 76ers. I guess it's a possibility. Now, one thing to point out with Huerter is the fact that John Collins wasn't around for Atlanta. And, I mean, I've mentioned this before, and everybody knows this. I mean, the Hawks, with and without Collins, were very different this year. With him, they were like 15 and 25, I believe, and without him, they were like 5 and 21. But they were just horrible without John Collins, right? And that's going to make it tougher for Huerter, no doubt. So you would hope that with an actual team next year, Huerter can... just find a little bit more of a place and have a few more shots created for him. And I guess another thing with Huerter is he's also just got to be more aggressive in general. I do feel like there's this sort of hesitance towards everything he does in his game besides shooting, which could be something, could be nothing. I feel like he's already broken out of that a little bit based on his second year compared to his rookie season, but I feel like it does still kind of exist. Now, this could just be because he's not an awesome ball handler, I don't know. Other things to think about with Huerter is, will he start next year? Because I do think the Hawks are in kind of an interesting situation of who to start besides Trey, Capella, and Collins. I mean, between Hunter, Huerter, and Cam Reddish, I would go with Huerter and Hunter, because I just feel like they've made more of an actual positive impact than Cam has. I mean, I'm still not convinced that Cam Reddish is, like, actually good, even after I made a video about him, saying that he was better. So, you know, to me, you just put the guys in there who are the safest picks. But I also feel like Cam Reddish is probably the best ball handler out of those three guys, and if you want another ball handler next to Trae Young, then you might be forced to make a little bit of a decision unless Huerter can prove to you that he can do a little bit more off the bounce and all that. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but if you force me to pick one, I'm going to go Huerter and Hunter with Cam Reddish off the bench. So yeah, Kevin Huerter for you. Should also probably talk about his defense a little bit. I'm going to be honest, I don't have a strong take on Huerter's defense. I feel like part of that is because the Hawks were never really set up to be a good defensive team. Like they had no chance this year with Trey and with Collins not playing, but you know, Collins made a little bit of improvement defensively, and with Capella there now, well, starting next season really, then I guess that'll be the chance for this team to actually not suck defensively, and you know, maybe then Huerter can show what he's got. I mean, you know, between the size, the length, and everything, I think he can be pretty good. I don't think he's been horrible up to this point or anything. The advanced stats don't like him defensively, but I think that's just a case of the team is bad on defense, and that's just how it's going to go. So yeah, if I can think again about player comparisons for Huerter, I think the high end would be Middleton or Klay. A medium end would be like Evan Fournier, consistent 17, 18 a game guy who can go off the dribble some and occasionally will have a big game for you. And I guess a disappointing outcome would be basically what he is right now. Like 12 points and a good three-point shooter, but not one of the best in the league, and offense never really rounds out or anything. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, Huerter seems all right.